What's going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegges back with you on a Monday night. Somehow the club music came back around from when we talked last on Friday. There's like 40 songs in there, and somehow we keep on finding the club music to keep everybody awake at 9:30 at night. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody was able to survive the weekend. My goodness, it was hot. We were talking about that. I do have some relief in store for you over the next couple of days, but it does come at the price where the impact weather goes up a little bit. We are going to be talking about a lot of storms and at inopportune times for those storms as well going forward. I think I have some extra volume around here. I got to turn this down. There we go. Some weird stuff was happening on the other computer. Anyway, hope everybody's doing well tonight. The things that we are going to chat about, of course, we're going to go for the forecast across the state of Florida. There is a pretty big pattern change. And again, that is going to really dictate our comfort. It's not going to cool things down much. At least it's not going to make it refreshing. It's still going to be humid. However, it's going to feel better than it did this weekend. On the Tropics Watch tonight, of course, if you subscribe to my Tropics Watch newsletter, then you know the topics that we're going to be talking about. It comes out at about 7 to 8 o'clock in that ballpark every Monday night. If you're interested in that, go to clickorlando.com/newsletters. I'll also talk about another way that you can sign up a little bit later on in the show this evening. Again, post in the comments where you are tuning in from tonight. And then, of course, towards the end, we're going to have the sound off section of the chat this evening. If you have any questions, please post those in the comments right now, and I would do my best to get into them. A lot of times we do get off the rails, but I want to make sure that I get everybody's question or comment or whatever over. I'm just firing up the comment section right on through now. Hope you're doing all right. Kevin, Jody, Elizabeth, Eric, what's going on tonight? Melissa, also in the house, I think. All right, so post in the comments there. This was the culprit this weekend. Big chunk of high pressure. It sat right on top of the Florida Peninsula, and it baked us. We were talking about that on Thursday and Friday, that we'd have an ugly weekend. I mean, mainly dry. There were a few thunderstorms out there as expected. However, the deal is this chunk of high pressure causes air to sink, and when air sinks, it dries out and helps to kind of push down any kind of storms that get going for the evening. So there's that nice chunk of high pressure that's kind of drifting now back over to the deep south a little bit. So as it lifts to the northwest, the big heat is also going to go with it. This is going to steal a lot of headlines across the nation's midsection over the next couple of days as it kind of surges off to the north or lifts up to the north just a little bit. I want to show you this fancy little graphic, this heat risk graphic. I showed this on Friday, if you remember, and it was lit up all red. It had blotches of purple. You see it closer to Pensacola Beach, where we're taking Pensacola Beach, Panama City Beach, Mobile, Alabama. The red is shifted up there. It's following that high pressure. And we have a couple of purple blotches up in that direction. Notice, though, over most of the state of Florida, from Jacksonville down to Miami and Key West, the heat risk for tomorrow is minor to moderate. So a huge change, because most of the state of Florida over the weekend was in that major to extreme category, especially in the bigger cities where there's more pavement. We had the blotches of purple all through Central and South Florida, all through North Florida. You lived it. It was pretty wild, even for Floridian standards. That is why we had that heat advisory in play. I do not foresee us having a heat advisory across most of the state of Florida. Now, the Panhandle might be a little different, where we saw that where we saw some of the red and the purple indicating where we have the high to extreme heat risk. The Panhandle may see some heat advisories tomorrow. Central Florida, no way. And look at this. We're actually going to be a notch or two below normal across a lot of Central Florida. 91 tomorrow in Orlando, 92 in Tampa. That's a tick above. Vero Beach at 89, Naples at 89, Miami 91. That's exactly where we should be in Miami. Where it's above normal is in the north, where that high pressure cell is drifting to. So it's all that big time stupid heat is just lifting north. It's still going to be hot. It's July in Florida. However, there's going to be a big change in our weather. And again, that starts tomorrow and really stays with us for the next couple of days. So this is the satellite and radar composite. This also has the surface map overlaid with it. So we have a nice chunk of high pressure at the surface out over the Gulf. It's this thing that changes from a cold front to the stationary front. When you see the radar loop back around, you'll see the jagged alligator blue teeth like that go to stationary. This is a very similar pattern to what we had pretty much this time last week, where we just had those rounds of thunderstorms. Remember, we had the nasty storms fire up Monday night, and then Tuesday was basically a washout for most of the day. And then Wednesday kind of followed some scattered thunderstorms as well. It's not going to play out exactly like that, but that front is helping to keep thunderstorm chances super, super high over the next couple of days. Now, I'm waiting on the latest high resolution model data to come in. It's kind of having issues picking up. The models are picking up on this setup. It's a pretty atypical setup now that we're in the latter stages of July. So I'm anxiously awaiting the 8 p.m. balloon launch run to get some extra upper air data in to see if it's sampled this weather pattern any better than it has this afternoon. So I'll be showing that tonight at 10 o'clock. It should be in at 10 o'clock. It's not in just yet, but it should be in at 10 o'clock. So make sure you stick around. News 6 at 10. That's going to be on News 6 Plus. Let me know in the comment section if you have News 6 Plus or are subscribed to the News 6 YouTube channel. It is going to pop up on a different section, but as long as you're subscribed to the News 6 YouTube channel, you're going to be able to find that super easy because the thumbnail is going to be up top. So give me a thumbs up if you have News 6 Plus. Post in the comments. Again, I see we have a bunch of new people tuning in. Thank you for that. But we are, I just want to know where you're tuning in from, and we'll give you guys a shout out. Any questions, of course, post that in the comment section as well. So this is kind of the rendition for tomorrow, how things are starting to look. And you'll notice all the white lines that represents the wind direction, but you'll notice again thunderstorms trying to emerge from the north to the south. Note the time though. This is where things get a little dicey, or at least a little different than what we're used to. So I think we have the chance to wake up to some extra clouds tomorrow, especially as we get deeper into the morning, like mid to late morning, 8, 9, 10 o'clock. And you see there by 11 o'clock, there are some downpours inland, maybe some thunderstorms even. Watch what happens as we go forward through the early part of the afternoon. We have storms just erupting. So we get an atypical start time to these storms, anywhere from 11 to lunchtime to 1 o'clock, really firing up through the I-4 corridor. We have a couple of thunderstorms around the Big Bend, and then it just goes bonkers as we get later into the evening, especially in South Florida, from about Palm Bay to Port St. Lucie, and then closer to Fort Myers, Naples, and through the Everglades. So it should be a widespread thunderstorm day and an early start to those thunderstorms as well. That's going to get out over the next couple of days. Okay, I have to take a short break. When we come back, there are 3 tropical waves that we are watching in the Atlantic. The Hurricane Center has one of them highlighted. If you follow me on Facebook, then you knew this weekend we were talking about this guy, that there was nothing to worry about with newly designated Invest 94L. It did not look like it was going to develop, but the Hurricane Center went and tagged it 94L anyway because they want to do their due diligence on it. And the only way those specialized tropical models can initialize is whenever they designate it as an invest or an area of investigation. So to be clear, to be sure, they wanted all of those high-tech, super new, awesome computer models to run on it. So that's why they did that. It looks like nothing right now. Formation chances are only 10% over the next 2 days, over the next 7 days. When we come back from this short break, we're going to go in depth with the other 2 waves that may have a slightly better chance to develop because of a little entity that might be moving into the Atlantic basin to almost act like a shot in the arm to some thunderstorms that are emerging off of Africa right now. So we are going to take a look at that in just 3 short minutes. Do me a favor during the break, post in the comments where you're tuning in from, any questions. We'll hit that up on the other side of the break. See you soon. Alrighty, guys, we are so back. Hope everybody is doing well tonight. I agree with the man, the myth, and the legend. We need some glow sticks up in here. Bringing the beats. Richard says they got caught in a torrential storm in Ormond by the sea this afternoon. All is hot and humid now. That's the one byproduct too, adding the extra moisture in the atmosphere. Crazy stuff for sure. Melissa's asking, any storms tonight, New Smyrna Beach? I do not think so. Don't be surprised though if we do get caught in some storms early tomorrow, though. That's what we're going to be looking for this pattern change that is among us to give us that extra rain chance again through Central Florida. Okay, so here we go on the tropical front again. I do an in-depth tropical look every Monday. That is whenever my Tropics Watch newsletter comes out. Clickorlando.com/newsletters. You can sign up for that if you want to be visited by me every single Monday. And thankfully, it has been super quiet for most of it. Again, we do have those storms. We had 3 storms develop. One of them, Chantal, was super impactful even as a tropical storm. Brought a lot of flooding to the Carolinas. Right now, there's nothing imminent. There's nothing threatening out there. And it may take a while, thankfully, for that to happen. This little bubble here, again, that 10% change or that 10% development chance over the next 7 days, that's it. I mean, there's hardly any thunderstorm activity in here going forward. So that is kind of wave number 1. Wave number 2 and 3 are going to have a slightly better shot, especially number 3. Wave number 2 is chilling right in here. I mean, again, hardly any thunderstorm development with it. I don't know why that happened. Let's go back to the actual thing. So wave number 2, there's hardly any thunderstorm activity with that. Wave number 3, though, it's a bit more juicy. So you see that right there. Um, it's riding a little low, has an opportunity to beat out the dust, and I'll explain why it may have just a slightly better chance to do something. And I don't think anything crazy. I think maybe a short-lived storm. That's about it, because the Atlantic is not really conducive to development. One of the reasons is a lot of dust. So there are our 3 waves highlighted right there. And then I also have the Saharan air layer overlaid with it. So you see the battle that these things are going to do. All of these are kind of embedded in what we call the intertropical convergence zone. You can clearly see that here. Everybody see the white lines coming out of the top of your screen? That's the wind direction in the northern hemisphere. And then the wind direction in the southern hemisphere out of the south and east. Those are the trade winds coming together. Whenever wind runs into each other, call it convergence. And when wind runs into each other, the air only has one place to go if it's at the surface, and that is up. So that is a natural forcing mechanism to get thunderstorms to develop. But here's the deal. All of these in the trade winds, the trade winds are basically injecting that dry, dusty, stable air right on into the storm. So this one, the first one, 94L, looked a little impressive over the weekend. It sucked in all that dry, dusty air. It's not looking impressive at all. The second one has kind of taken all of the thunderstorms out of it. That one's not looking impressive at all. And again, the third one is a little bit, but still, the Atlantic isn't that conducive. I want to get us over to the other weather computer now, and I'm using the website weathernerds.org. We're all weather nerds here, right? But I have the European ensemble forecast loaded up, and let me load up my telestrator real quick. We're going to do this in real time, and because I want to show you the what's going on here, the L's that you're going to see pop up. Okay, they're not the number of storms, they're the ensemble members. So in the European ensemble suite, there are 51 different members. Different initial conditions are put into those members. And when they kind of converge on a solution, we get better confidence into those. So we're going to take that out in time and notice that, okay, wave number 1, it's kind of gone. It falls apart. There are no more L's there. Wave number 2, let's take this out further into the future. It kind of goes up, we're following the lines, and then fizzles out. And then there's the big juicy wave. We're taking that all the way out. This is 10 days now, so this is going to be July 31st. Some ensembles, much of them, a lot of ensembles are converging on that solution that we could have some development out into the middle of the Atlantic. Okay. The GFS ensembles, it doesn't really develop the first or second one. It has a lot of mumbo jumbo out here. There's a lot of noise. We'll highlight some things, but it's not bullish on anything coming through. The main reason that the third one is going to have an opportunity, I might need to change the window here to kind of get this. And now it's too small. I just need to move this over so you can see the highlight. Is something called a Kelvin wave. And I talked about this in the newsletter. I show this map a lot to highlight when the Madden-Julian oscillation is going to come through. It's a bigger convective pulse that goes around the equator about every 30 to 60 days, and it helps to force up thunderstorms. We look for this to move through the basin, and when it does, it typically forces up storms. And when it's on the suppressed side, it helps to keep things nice and quiet. Well, you'll notice there's some green here. And that little piece of green as we move out towards the 24th, 25th of July, it's not the MJO. It's still hanging out over in the Pacific. That's where most of it is. It is that little Kelvin wave. And it's essentially, it's a similar thing. It's on a much smaller scale. It's just a little perturbation that goes through, and it helps to act to lift the air a little bit and make things a little more favorable on a small scale. So by the time that thing is about where the third one over, the one that's rolling off of Africa now, is about where the second wave is now. We're going to have that wave coming through that might help to enhance it a little bit and help to give it like a nice little bubble of favorability in that area. It shouldn't last too long, though. And the GFS isn't even on it at all. The European is kind of on it, as we saw. So it remains to be seen if we're going to get development. But if one of those three is going to try to develop, it's likely going to be the third one, and we'd be watching for the Lesser Antilles. But again, the main reason why I wanted to overlay the Saharan air layer with the tropical waves is that there's a lot of it around. The wind is out of the north. It's literally going to be pushing that dust right on in to those tropical waves, and it's going to be hard for them to even try to develop without any kind of extra help. Alrighty, guys, I have to get in a short break. When we return, I'm answering your questions. We have about 5 minutes to do that, so do me a favor. Post in the comments where you're tuning in from. If you have any questions on this live chat or on any meteorological weather topic or not, post those in the comments, and I'm going to do my best to answer them in about the 4.5, 5 minutes that we have when we return on the other side of the break. By the way, we're taking a live look tonight in Ocala and in Panama City Beach tonight with our WeatherStem network of cameras. Thank you a ton for being here. I really appreciate your time. Post in the comments where you're tuning in from. Be right back. Alrighty, guys, welcome back. We have about 3 minutes until the show has to end because I have to get ready to jump on air at News 6 at 10 o'clock. Again, if you have News 6 Plus, just keep it right there. News 6 at 10 will be right there. If you're on YouTube, You can stay on the New 6 YouTube channel. It will be a different link. It'll be a different feed, but just go to the homepage again, and you can see that there if you were interested in the best Central Florida news and weather coverage. Okay, so Jordan has a question. Has the MDR been getting more or less dry throughout June and July, or has it held steady being relatively dry for development? The deal with this is the Saharan dust has actually been on kind of the record low side. There hasn't been a ton of dust out there. What we have going on in the main development region is likely a stability issue. And again, this is a good thing, meaning if it's stable, we're not really getting thunderstorms to develop in that area. In the main development region, if you're not sure, for those that are listening, what we're referring to, it's really where these waves are right here. And that's why it's called the main development region. It's between the Lesser Antilles and the Cabo Verde Islands. That's where we get those long track storms to develop. And it's been a stability issue. We had it last year, and it looks like we're having it this year as well. And it's because the main development region, relative to the rest of the world, is on the cooler side, and we need it to get warmer. Well, we don't want it to get warmer, but in order to get those storms to fire, it has to get a little bit warmer. Now, it has warmed a lot over the past couple of weeks. It's going to be kind of one of those, we're watching it closely to see how it's going to, how that's going to change the peak of hurricane season, but it's likely that we're going to find ourselves in a very similar situation to last year where August, and this goes to Jody's question. I think it was Jody or Elizabeth. It was Jody's question. How will this hurricane season will it get rougher during August? And the answer to that is I'm not so sure, because I think we're going to keep this stability issue rolling through August. We're not going to have it. I'm not sure that the MJO comes over to help force things up either, which is a good thing. But we might be in a situation again where we have some cooling in the atmosphere going on as we get deeper into fall. And then that helps to create some instability. And then we're back in that we're waiting for that flurry of activity where it's quiet, quiet, quiet. And then as we get towards mid to late September, like on the back half of hurricane season, that's when we get the flurry of activity. So it's going to be interesting to see if that's indeed what happens again, and that we're talking about it being super active in like the last 4 to 6 weeks of the hurricane season rather than the traditional peak starting the third week of August in about a month. So a lot of interesting things to watch here as we watch this in real time. And all that. Zachary asked a good question. Last one before I have to go because I'm already late and I got to run that last break. Before we get to the 10 o'clock news, I do not think that this is the ramp up of activity. I think we lose two of these waves quick, and that third wave kind of runs away as well and goes quietly into the night, maybe after a short-lived storm out there. But I do not think that this is kind of that runaway freight train of activity just yet. That might be 4 to 6 weeks away, in all honesty. Best as I can see. Alrighty, guys, I have to run quick. News 6 at 10 o'clock on News 6 Plus starts in 3 minutes. Thank you guys a ton for tuning in. We're right back here tomorrow at 9:30, live on News 6 Plus and on the News 6 YouTube channel. I'll see you in 3 minutes at News 6 at 10 and online, or I guess on the air, over the air, News 6 at 11 o'clock on traditional TV. We'll catch you soon, guys.